Hey everyone. So for project 3, I decided to do the AI speech therapist, so Jessica. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everyone. Okay. So AI speech therapist, I did a question mark just because I feel like that really resembles how I feel about it. I am not really sure. I have little to no experience when it comes to artificial intelligence generated anything. Um, the TA for this class, Alex, is seriously like one of my first intentional uses of AI. I've probably used AI without knowing it just because it's everywhere, but I honestly didn't even really know what it was before having the Zoom for this class. So AI is like very unfamiliar to me. So that's why I wanted to do this project because I wanted to learn more about it, especially when it comes to speech therapy. Okay, so first, who is Jessica? Jessica is an AI speech therapist assistant. I feel like that's a big thing to emphasize on. I kind of forgot that even like as I was doing the cons and the pros of this assignment, I had to keep reminding myself like it's just an assistant. It's not meant to be a replacement. It's just supposed to be something that you can use in between your sessions to keep up your progress. Convenient, reliable, you can use it 24/7. You make your own schedule. And also, I put works with Asha, but I just want to specify I couldn't find how it works with Asha directly. I don't think Asha endorses it, but it is working with Asha in terms of the standards that comes with insurance behind the use of Jessica. Okay, so my personal experience with Jessica, I had a pretty good experience. I think that it's great to use in between sessions. I signed up and then I was waitlisted, and I don't really know if like everyone, because you have to put like if you're a speech therapist, if you're a parent, if you want it for yourself. And so I don't know if like what you choose of why you want to use Jessica, if that depends if you get like immediately in or if everyone gets on the wait list. But I got waitlisted and then I quickly got off the wait list, like literally same day. But so then I could use the demo. But I did get waitlisted. Um, if you have errors, she corrects you right then and there. I did a few errors myself. I would like mispronounce words or like say my R's wrong or something just to see what her feedback was, and it was all a really good feedback. And then something that I was thinking that I thought of right after the session was a lot of parents that have children that have speech services just through their public school, they never see what goes on in the session. At least in my experience, when I was in speech therapy, my parents never saw a session because it was always at school and during school day. So this is a great way for parents to kind of sit and like see what feedback looks like and what their student may be struggling with. And they can also use that feedback if they're just having a conversation with their child in the car. They can like think back to what Jessica said and like tell their child that and reinforce it at home. That will lead to greater progress. Something that I love Jessica is that you can change the AI character. So it can be a woman, it can be Yoda. I think they had a man. I could be wrong. I think they had a man too. It could be Yoda or it could be Pikachu. I think it's fairly new, so I feel like they'll have more characters in the future, but I think that is so fun and engaging for kids. Because in real life speech therapy, there's always so many toys, usually a very bright, colorful room to keep the children involved. So this is just a different way. Especially little kids, when they love a character, they freak out whenever they see the character, have a show with the character. So I think this would be so fun if I was little and I loved Yoda or Pikachu. I would love using the speech therapy AI. This is just a link to a video of what's on their website, like a demo session. And then reviews from the public. All in all, really good reviews. This was from the website itself. I would agree, very easy. You can get therapists literally right away. I couldn't find the exact price, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty affordable from what I can tell on the reviews. Engaging, entertaining. But yeah, all in all, really good reviews. So these are the benefits that I came up with of using Jessica. Convenient, you can use it 24/7. Perfect in between sessions. So one thing that I really like is that in speech therapy, sometimes it really depends on every client, but some clients only have speech therapy once a week. And there's a saying that's like, if you only eat 1 day a week, you starve, and it like just correlates to practicing all the time. And I think that that can apply to this if you only have speech therapy 1 day a week, and that's the only day that you're getting feedback on your communication disorder, your speech impediment, you're going to have little to no progress. So Jessica's a great way to get more practice in, use real feedback right away. And it's just a great in between session thing. I also think it's amazing for elementary kids, middle school, even high schoolers on their breaks. If they only get services through their school, it's a great way to get practice during their long breaks when they may not be seeing their speech therapist as often. Okay, these are some cons. So I really had to remind myself that it's not a replacement, it's just practice. However, I think there's so many benefits that you're losing by using an AI SLP. Um, I think that it's an amazing idea, works great for in between sessions. However, having a real life in-person SLP allows you to be an advocate for so many of their patients. Every single speech path professor I've had, audiology professor I've had, they emphasize so much on how important it is to have a relationship with your client. And every single SLP professor I've ever had, they have been an advocate to either rare diseases, to patients with cochlear implants, to patients with hearing loss. I had a professor that advocated so hard for all her clients that needed AAC devices or cochlear implants and couldn't afford it, and their insurance wasn't approving AAC devices, and she would advocate for them. And I think that that is something that you're losing if you're using an AI. You don't get the advocacy, and you also don't get that personal connection and relationship that an in-person SLP has. Um, I also don't think that AI Jessica would be great if you have cochlear implants or hearing loss or some of the more complicated speech therapy sessions that like might focus on swallowing disorders. I feel like that might be hard to use Jessica for. I don't really think she's that advanced quite yet. So those are just some cons that I came up with. But again, I have to remind myself it's just not a replacement. However, I feel like a lot of people may use it as a replacement, even though it's not meant for that. So these are just some things to keep in mind. Okay, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I think it's Udly, but it is very similar to AI, Jessica. And I'm just gonna show you the website. It's a very interesting. So very cool. And then this is what example session looks like. So this is a video of King Charles, and he talks, says his speech, and this is kind of the feedback that Yuli gives them. So it's not an AI character like Jessica is. It's kind of just straight on feedback. But with that being said, um, it gives you instant feedback just like Jessica, but you can kind of tell it's a little different. Okay. So these are some differences. So Jessica is a human. I put down quotes, just a picture of it feels like you're speaking to a human. Or a character, which can be engaging and make the session feel as though you're with a real human SLP. Udly is written out feedback and is more of an everything speech check. So as you could see when we were on the King Charles example of how it works, you could kind of just see the comments. It would kind of be like, oh, nice job not using filler words here, or nice job limiting the sentence to these few words, or like you could change the sentence like this. So it's more of an everything speech check rather than a specific speech theory for speech therapy communications. However, it does show you how, like, what might be your trigger words for stuttering. It shows you what words you repeat a lot, what words you say right before and right after, the words that you might stutter, or the certain sounds that you might stutter. So I think it could be a great help for those that have the speech impediment of stuttering, which I don't think Jessica can do, at least from the demo and from what I've seen. But I think that is an amazing tool for patients that stutter. That is something I'm really interested in because stuttering is such, um, and it's such a phenomenon that a lot of speech therapists don't really know what causes it. So, and there's no cure for it, but this can definitely help a lot and help reduce stuttering. So very, very good online tool for that. Also, Udly, I think is more expensive. I can't really tell. I've tried looking up the prices, but from what I gather, I think it's more expensive. And then the similarities. So Jessica and Udly both give immediate direct feedback at a very quick rate. There's little to no waiting. And it's great practice for in between speech therapy sessions. Both ones I think are great. However, I do prefer Jessica because I think it's more of a real life experience. It feels a little more personable, and I feel like she gives you feedback that's a little more correlated to your direct need when it comes to like what you're doing wrong and what you're pronouncing wrong. Okay, so now I'm going to compare Jessica to a real life SLP. So this is a technique. So I just used Jessica's technique and then a technique that an SLP may follow that's similar to Jessica's. And then I'm going to tell you which one I like more. So if you saw in the video and also in the demo, Jessica will say the word that the patient is working on. So like in the video, it said rabbit. The patient repeats it 3 times, and then Jessica will give feedback. In a real life, an SLP may follow a technique where they have the patient say the word, the target word. So let's say the target word is rabbit, just like Jessica's. Um, the SLP may have a picture of a rabbit and point to it so the patient can say it, so they can watch the patient, the client, say the word in like their most natural state so they can identify exactly what they're doing wrong. I feel like with Jessica, the patient is or client is so focused on saying the word correctly, and a real SLP it might be able to see it more in its natural setting and just be able to identify it a little more clearly, and then they'll have the patient repeat it. So I think that the best technique is the in-person SLP because they can see exactly what the issue is in their natural state. The patient isn't trying as hard if they're just like pointing at a word, or if the SLP just kind of gets them to say the word naturally. They can kind of see if the tongue placement's off or kind of what's off. And they can use that to help the patient pronounce it correctly rather than just giving them speaking advice. I also think that in general, Jessica just kind of if it's a little kid, the little kid might not be able to understand if Jessica just kind of says, oh, well, this is wrong, you need to do this. SLP might be able to show with like a mouth model or something like this is where your tongue is, which might correlate more to like what they understand and what they know. Okay, so Asha has a few articles on AI speech therapy. It's not directly on Asha's website. It's like Asha, oh, this one is, but there's another one that isn't directly on Asha's website, and it's Asha Wire. And this one talks all about the power of technology and AI in speech therapy, especially when it comes to progress tracking. I found this article very, very interesting, and it definitely supports speech therapy, but it does, both articles emphasize that it's not replacement, and It also talks about graduate students and AI use, which that one I found very interesting. And that one said that it can be very beneficial for our field. However, it needs to be incorporated correctly. So both of these articles, they don't like shut down AI when it comes to speech therapy, but they also aren't like crazy about it. They just think it's very beneficial and that's a cool tool to use, but it can never really replace speech therapists. Okay, so then what is the future for SLPs in relations to AI? So it's a great tool for patients to utilize in between sessions. However, it will never fully replace SLPs due to the variety of communication disorders, and AI is unable at this point to help treat all types of different communication disorders. There are just so many. And also, every situation and every client is so unique um, that it's hard to kind of do like a one size fits all approach. And I feel like that's what AI kind of does. In the future, it may be able to identify direct communication disorders to the same extent as real life SLPs. However, I don't believe that it will have the ability to diagnose the more complex communication disorders. I think it can definitely help diagnose or um kind of help monitor, but I don't think it can diagnose it to the extent that SLPs can. And I also think that AI will greatly advance AAC devices for the better in the future. That's not really correlated to speech therapists with AI, but I think it will really help with AAC devices. Okay, so all in all, my personal reflection, I think that Jessica is a great speech therapist tool to use in between sessions. I don't think it will ever replace SLPs just because clients love having that personal connection with their speech therapist, and that helps their progress so much. And also for younger kids, having the toys and the fun pictures and the popsicle sticks, that's what kind of gets them to improve. It's kind of hard to get them to sit in front of a screen for so long and work on something. And also, Jessica doesn't really explain it sometimes in the most simpler terms that a younger kid can understand. So, for pediatric speech therapy, I don't think it will ever replace. However, I think adults in the future, adults that use speech therapy, can definitely utilize from AI just to kind of use in between sessions. And I think that also it can help in so many different ways, especially when it comes to stuttering. I just think that that is so efficient and it's a great use of AI for speech therapy. But all in all, I don't think it will ever replace because everyone just loves human connections and speech therapy is a lot about client clinician relations. And that is the reason why speech therapy work so well is because the clinicians know how to relate to the patient, the client, and they kind of get to know them and know what tools work for them and what exercises and activities will help them pro improve and see progress. Whereas AI, they don't really know exactly what works for the patient. They just kind of use the same approaches. But yeah, that was my experience with using Jessica on the AI speech therapist.